Okay, Ms. Webb, please ask the question.
Yes. Ready for the vote. So starting with you, Commissioner Blunt.
Aye.
Commissioner Parker.
Aye.
And Commissioner Pitchford.
Aye.
All right. Unanimous vote. Motion carried.
Thank you. The minutes from November 15th, 2022 has been adopted. And we'll now move on to section 4, the citizens' comment period. Has anyone signed up to speak tonight?
Madam Chair, no one has signed up for to speak this evening. And may I also just remind, if you are not speaking at the time or have been advised to speak, please keep your phones or your devices muted until called upon. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Pamela. Thank you. And now on to section 5, old business. This is the update on the closing out 2021 audit and the start of 2022 unaudited submission. Shannon, take it away.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners, fellow staff, and friends. We're getting close on the closeout of the 21 audit. Last week I received 4 inquiries from the auditors, including the management discussion, the MDA. So that tells me that we're getting close to putting that to rest. Answered those and have sent them back off, and just now waiting for any further inquiries for that one for 21. The unaudited 22 submission is now in the hands of HUD. We put it into the portal, and I just checked it prior to the start of this meeting, and it's still sitting in review. And that would be all.
Madam Chair, you're muted.
Okay, I'm going to stop playing with y'all. Okay, Shannon, could you please give us, in our new business, the first quarter fiscal year 2023 financials report?
Yes, thank you. I'd be happy to. So for this one, I still haven't had a chance to hand this off. We're looking forward to Fabio starting the end of January, and we're still down 3 positions and working on trying to get everything booked and numbers tightened up so we can hopefully have a more successful audit for this upcoming 22 year. But for Ms. Pam, could you please put up the income statement first?
Okay.
For RRHA. So for this reporting, I did break it out into RRHA agency-wide, and then I broke out RDC separately. With that, we're going to start having, as everyone's aware of, Mr. Nesmith's brighter future, and more activity will be happening with the RDC, so I wanted to make it a little more transparent. Plus, they have different fiscal ending periods. So first of all, for Richmond Housing, agency-wide, we are showing a $1.9 million profit at this time. And this is for Richmond Housing, this is first quarter of the fiscal year 23. So it's encompassing October through December.
$1.9 million profit.
And because it's the first quarter in the year, it's also the same as the year to date. And then we provided you with a balance sheet, which then would go into detail as far as the cash on hand.
The balance sheet.
And as always, you want your assets to equal your liabilities and
we got to get that balance sheet.
Equity. Liabilities and equity. Then you can go ahead. If you have any questions, please just let me know. You can also then jump over to the RDC's income statement.
The RDC, that's the Richmond
now,
Development
RDC's
Corporation.
Fiscal period ends on June 30, so this
new,
will now, this is
I never heard of that
the second
till
quarter for them
that
from
new
October
CEO
to
guy
December.
got in there.
It is showing a slight loss.
RDC,
We have
that's
some
their
entries that haven't been recorded.
their little entity they
And of
created,
course,
I
if there's
guess,
any type of
to
loss
do the,
over here, it would have to then be offset by
their
any
development deals.
profit, hopefully that's over in the COCC. And once we can get to the point where we're kind of breaking these out a little bit more for you, I have a couple templates that I'd like to share once Fabio comes on board, so you'll be able to see like maybe
why they
the
not showing us?
COCC and the amps and all them broken out a little bit better.
Yeah,
to give
you're
you a
not
better
showing
understanding
us
of
now.
everything.
What are they doing?
But as you can see for the year to date, because of it being the second quarter, it is showing a
is she
$6 million profit.
Why they not showing
And then
us
again,
anything?
we supplied you with the corresponding balance sheet for RDC. Just wanted to make things a little more transparent between the two entities.
They're not making it transparent for
If you have any
us.
questions, please feel free to reach out or
What?
us now. Thank you.
Oh, I guess we gotta request this stuff.
Thank you, Shannon. Is there anyone in the meeting that has a question for Shannon about this? Okay, then move on. Okay. And Priscilla Barty, we're now going to hear her report about the agency vacancies and the Section 3 hires.
Good afternoon, everyone, commissioners and Mr. Nesmith and fellow employees. Thank you all for being here this afternoon. So for the vacancies, what I've reported is 37 vacancies. Since then, the number have changed. So right now we have 34 vacancies. We see that our numbers are constantly decreasing. So we made 2 offers today. We made 1 offer for maintenance specialist, and we also made an offer to a senior office support specialist. They will be starting both next week. And also we made an offer on Friday for the management analyst position. So that decreased our total number of vacancies. So for the month of December, we were pretty busy just trying to make offers for internal candidates. So if you go down to the green in the property managers and assistant housing managers positions, we did a lot of internal promotions. So, and those were effective the 12th of January. So we promoted a lot of our senior office support specialists and also our maintenance specialists into those positions, which now made those positions vacant. And we are diligently working to backfill those vacancies. Also, in the meantime, while we know those positions are vacant, we are using temp agencies to help fill some of those positions. And also we are partnered with Virginia Career Work, which we are trying to help with support Mr. Nesmith initiative with.
In case you just joining us, you here live and direct.
Sir, did you want to speak on
with
that?
Omari, bringing you
Is that something you want me to?
the people's news.
You're on mute.
No.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So, as to Madam Chair, may I speak, please?
Yes, please.
So, as to that subject matter on the Hope Jobs and Security package we're offering, that's a subject matter for the full board. It's not pertaining, it's not germane to this particular committee. But thank you.
Okay, thanks, sir. And also for the Section 3 hires, we did have 1 Section 3 hire for this month. It's not showing right there because one of those offers that we made today was a Section 3 hire. So now that made that number changed. Do anyone have any questions of me?
So how many Section 3 hires is that for the month?
For the month, it's just 1.
Okay.
So for fiscal year 22, it would make 4 since October of 2022.
Okay. Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions?
Yes, Madam Chair, may I speak at this point?
Yes.
Thank you. Shella, you were saying you had one that just got hired in a Section 3. What did that hire that person to do?
That person will be a senior office support specialist, sir.
They had the background to do that, or how did that come about?
Yes, sir. They had the background to be qualified in that specific job.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir.
Is there anyone else that has any questions? Okay, then. We'll go on to our procurement reporting. Art Walker.
Madam Chairman, Madam
Yes.
Chair,
Yes.
I think it's IT.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Jackie. Jackie, Long Hicks. We'll do our IT updates. I'm sorry.
Good evening, everyone.
You want me to put it up, Jackie, or you just?
No, we just it's emailed to everybody, so
Okay.
they just ask questions that they have, and that was the process we've been doing. I've been emailing. The report has been emailed to everyone, so instead of going through my presentation, I just open the floor to questions.
Are you able to put it up in case there's anyone who hasn't received it in the email that can see it?
Pam will have to because I'm driving. I just left the office.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay,
got it.
thank you. Can everyone see it? The writing looks small here, but if they don't have it on the paper, it might be hard for them to see on the screen.
Is that a little bit better?
Is there anyone who can't read that?
Okay, this is the report.
That's excellent.
Next slide.
Did everyone have a chance to review it in the packet for the meeting? I did. Okay. Any questions?
Yes, Madam Chair, I had an opportunity to read it too. I think it's an excellent report.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And I had no question. I thought it was thorough. And just me, just only me. But I thought it was thorough.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Any questions from the commissioners?
I don't have any questions, Jackie. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to just give kudos to my staff for working very hard to get us situated and set up with the move to 600 East Broad Street and installing a network and making sure everybody was up and running this morning, able to start working this morning.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't hear that. Who did you give special kudos to? Who said?
My small but mighty department.
RRHA moved their headquarters to
Thank you.
600 East Broad.
Well, I want to thank your small but mighty department as well, because IT helps keep our communications going. So that's very, very important. Everything everyone does is important, but definitely need to be able to keep the communication open. So thank you.
And I want to say it too because, downtime is money time.
Thank you very much. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you very much.
Did anyone have any questions? Okay. All right then. And now we'll have Art Walker with his procurement report.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioner Blunt. Good evening, commissioners and guests. Can you see my screen? I'm sharing.
We can see the screen, but you might want to blow it up a little bit, Art.
Okay. All right. Hopefully that's a little bit better. For the last reporting period, we completed 4 different procurements, including the award for the Mosby Court co-developer, contract for A&E services for Blackwell Senior Cottages, 2 contracts for agency-wide at-request roofing services, and fire damage repair for a unit at Hillside. For our current procurement activity, I just want to highlight that we do have a couple of open RFPs for project-based vouchers where we're receiving proposals now. We also have a couple of large bids for HVAC work at both the Gilpin Management Office and at the Hillside Management Office. And finally, we are here tonight to request approval for a large contract for underground pipe replacement at Fairfield. And for future items that are to be worked on or issued soon, I will highlight that we're doing a couple of items for the redevelopment at Fay Towers, including a bid for lead asbestos mold remediation at Fay Towers, as well as a solicitation to hire a construction manager at risk for Fay Towers, and the CM at risk would be responsible for construction of the eventual renovations at a guaranteed maximum lease. Are there any questions regarding the procurement planning report?
Yes, Madam Chair, may I speak 1 second?
Sorry, I was muted. Please go ahead, Commissioner.
Item 7 in current procurements are
The utility pole installation?
yes. We had a little discussion on that last time. What type of poles are those? Are they wooden poles? Are they metal poles? What kind of poles are these?
Those are wooden poles
They're
to
wooden
replace the
poles.
existing poles that are past their useful life.
I'm sorry. They are past what?
The current poles are, so past their useful life. They're in a state where eventually they could crack or fall. So our capital improvements team worked on a bid so we could replace those poles, so we could make sure we keep the infrastructure in place.
And how tall are they? 25-foot poles, 30-foot poles?
I don't know the actual size. Robert Spain, our capital improvements person on. If I could, Commissioner, I could could tap Robert in to speak to the pole replacements.
Good evening, commissioners and other guests. Thanks, Art. The poles vary in height from 25 to 30 depending upon the utilities attached. Most of the poles that we're dealing with range from, I think, at 30 feet, especially those that have transformer or other type of camera equipment attached.
So we have poles with transformers on them, or what are we attaching on the poles? What are we putting on the poles?
I mean, a utility pole is just that. It has
Okay.
electric, it has transformer, and below the higher voltage lines would be any type of low signal cable, and we also have some, I believe it's police camera equipment.
Am I understanding that the poles have other utilities on them other than RRHA's utilities, but we're replacing them? We're required to replace them?
Well, the Wickham development is a anomaly to what you're asking. And I believe there's one other development, I want to say Mosby Central, that had where we are the owners of the electrical infrastructure. Dominion Energy has not taken over due to the cost of the improvements. As I understand, and this is something that was long before I joined the agency originally, so we have owned and maintained the electrical infrastructure in at least 2 of our developments.
And let me ask you one other question here, and I'll let you go.
Yes, sir. No problem.
How are you determining that a pole is bad or it's ready for replacement, other than being cracked or something happened to it, somebody hit it or something like that? How are we making that determination?
Based on the initial of what we observe or our maintenance team brings to our attention, splintering, severe, or what we would call poles that are now out of plumb, that are not erect. We contact someone in our team that has experience in previous, was one of the electricians, JR, that was knowledgeable of these types of things, would make these recommendations. And then when we bring contractors out, we verify not only through the expertise of our central maintenance team and electricians, we propose poles for replacement.
The only reason why I asked that is because I used to work for the telephone company years ago as an engineer, and
Yes, sir.
and we had a team of people who would go out and determine these poles, and they were wooden poles, and determine whether they're bad or good or whatever. And these poles would sometimes last forever because that's how they're made. They are all so soaked and everything to last. But I didn't know if we were just changing them just to be changing them. But if we change them just because they're at that point that they better be changed or they're unsafe, then I certainly agree with you 100%. Thank you so much.
No problem. Yes, sir. You are correct. Most of the poles that we did walk prior to the contractor having the opportunity to bid were reviewed, again, by our central maintenance electrician and staff. And then, of course, my representative, Don Mullins, and I walked around the site and reviewed these poles. And it was easy to determine poles that needed to go. We did not want to wait for any type of wind or storm or tornadic event to demonstrate, the signs of stress and distress in the pole. Splintering, more than 30 degrees out of plumb. And those poles, again, are overburdened with attached infrastructure, transformer, cable lines and things of that nature.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you doing that. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, sir. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Art.
And thank you, Mr. Spain, for your information.
No problem. Thank you.
If there are no other questions about the procurement planning report, I will move on to the resolutions. Commissioner Blunt?
Yes, please. I said yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to share my screen to move.
Okay.
Sorry, it changed a little bit on the controls here. Let's see. The first resolution is approval to execute a contract modification for the fire damage unit at the Fairfield Court. And for background, there are 4 units that were damaged by fire, and we issued a bid earlier in 2022 and awarded a contract to RRHA Construction for restoration of those units. After the bid was awarded, but before contractual work started, there was a break-in and there was some vandalism to those units. In addition, when the work began, there was a slight change to the specifications where we changed the type of interior doors that will be used for the project. At this time, we are requesting a contract modification of $105,321.42 for this contract to allow the contractor to finish the restoration of those units. I will be happy to entertain any questions regarding this request.
We'll be voting on this tomorrow night.
Yes.
Well, Madam Chair, I think the committee has to vote on these tonight to take before the board.
Right. Were there any questions from anyone about this?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can I ask a question about the modifications? This in effect is a change order. Is that right, Art?
That's correct.
Okay, the change order. Can you just briefly tell me once again what things they're going to do because of the damage, I guess, that happened? They were already prepared to do some repairs to it, but because of the vandalism, I guess that caused some additional things.
Yeah, there was some piping and things stolen. You know, things that would happen sometimes with vacant units, and all of those, all of that had to be replaced in order to bring the units back on.
Okay. 105,000, a lot of money. So what were they stealing? The stoves and everything, or the refrigerators, or knocking holes in the wall?
These are vacant units. Robert, if you don't mind providing the background.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, apologize, my laptop's a little slow activating here. So as it relates to Fairfield, yes, those units were under renovation due to an apartment fire, and the contractor made significant progress to where to meet the current fire safety codes, had to install fire separation walls above the ceilings of the second floor within the attic. This, of course, had to accommodate all of the new copper piping that had been installed from each unit's radiators up through the first floor to the second floor, and then through the second floor ceiling, and make its final run and connection in series of all four units and through firewall. And for most who may not understand, a firewall is typically the ability to slow up a fire in one unit from transferring to another. So that would consist of 2 layers of drywall. There's a fire rated approved fire caulk. After all of that work had been successfully done, permitted, and approved to go on to the next phase, we had a pause in the work due to some contract reviews, and vandalism took place. The vandals broke into the units, busted windows out. In one case, they even kicked in the front door that was screwed shut, and they began, vandalizing not only just the unit, in addition to tearing out the copper pipe from each radiator in each room, and so sophisticated to climb up through the attic crawl space, kick down the firewalls, and tore out the balance of copper tubing throughout the attic of all 4 units.
My gosh. Thank you so much for your report.
No problem. And I'd like to say thank you to Martin Harrison, if he's still on. I thought I saw him earlier, but he's to the right on my laptop. We attempted to get a vandalism or a police report because of the vandalism, because this was originally financed through insurance, and naturally we don't want the insurance company to think that we're just in error, wasting money, or not using the materials supposed. But it was in place and approved, but because of vandalism, Marty helped us get a police report to support this effort.
Thank you, Mr. Spain.
No problem. I apologize for not saying earlier, thank you, Madam Chair.
I forgive you. It's not a big deal. I'm not going to hold you to that.
All right.
Commissioner Parker, was that all of your question?
Yes, it's all of my question. I think you did a thorough job on that. My only question now is, what can we do to prevent something in the future happening like this? Do we have any checks and balances in place for this, or how would we do that? Because this thing could go on and on.
Agreed, sir, and a legitimate question. One thing that we do have in place is a end game. Before there was somewhat of a contract dispute due to some of the change in codes that caused us to have to pause the project. But in this particular instance, we do not have any unforeseen need to pause the project due to code compliance and or contract capability. So the contract is on standby, ready to go and ready to bring this project or units back online so that it can be occupied.
Thank you so much. I'm finished, Madam Chair. Thank you.
If I may add to what Mr. Spain was talking about as well, to his end game, we've also talked with the police lieutenant that governs that area, Lieutenant McRae, and he is having his officer do spot checks on those apartments that were vandalized so that we can kind of curtail some illegal activity in that area.
Thank you,
Spot
Marty.
checks on vacant apartments.
Okay.
Okay.
Art, will you finish with that first resolution?
I am. If there are no more questions, I'll move on to the next resolution,
Yes, please.
which is approval to execute a contract with Plumber Near Me LLC for underground heating domestic hot water pipe replacement at Fairfield Court. As a part of our capital improvement activities, we are replacing those pipes that provide heating and domestic hot water to units at Fairfield. We did issue an invitation to bid in November for this work. We held a pre-bid conference in December. We did receive one bid on January 3rd. Our capital improvements team has reviewed the bid and determined this bidder to be responsive and responsible. In addition, Plumber Near Me has agreed to the goal of 25% of the labor hours for this project being worked by Section 3 workers in accordance with the new HUD regulations. And at this time, we're requesting the board's approval of this contract in the amount of $598,642.23. Are there any questions regarding this resolution?
No questions for resolution number 2? Okay, Art, go ahead to resolution number 3, please.
The third resolution is to ratify contract modification number 4 to a contract with RRHA Construction and Development for installation of underground piping at Gilpin Court. This is one of our larger projects that has been going on for really a couple of years. In this past year, we were getting to the end of the project, coming close to the heating season. And as we neared completion, there was an unmarked gas utility line that was discovered that conflicted with the pipe design, and additional excavation was required to complete this portion of the work. Since we were so close to the heating season, we did declare an emergency to request the RMT complete the work to make sure that we had adequate heating for the residents at Gilpin as the winter season began. So at this time, we're just requesting the board to ratify this emergency action. So we're able to compensate the contractor for the work that was completed. This final contract modification is an amount of $221,512.26. Are there any questions regarding this?
Madam Chair, may I ask a question?
Absolutely.
To this last resolution, is there any provisions in this contract that if it should be not to the satisfaction of RRHA that there will be some gratification or money back to us if the contract is not, done, if the work is not done properly. Thank you.
So, Commissioner, our contracts for construction work do include a standard 1-year warranty on the workmanship of the work, and it begins with the capital improvements team checking the work before we make initial payment. However, if after the contractor is left and we discover some defects, the contractor is responsible to come back and make repairs.
Thank you, because I want to make sure, because it seems like we're going through, and this is just my opinion, it seems like we're just going through this with this heat thing over and over and over and over, and I just want to know, is there any way we can get some money back if they don't, if they're not doing what the contract warrants them to do?
We do hold our contractors accountable.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Pitchford, for that question. So, Art, the modification in the contract that we're talking about now has to do with underground piping at Gilpin, not the same thing we were talking about in the past with heat, which had to do with boilers and heaters. Am I correct?
Yes.
So that was the difference. So in this case, it's actually getting to the root of part of the problem, in addition to the fact that we had a problem in the past with boilers and parts for old radiators. So I saw, I don't know which paper I was looking at, but they were talking about HVAC. In these older units that we have, are any of them ever going to be converted to HVAC?
I don't know the specific plans for conversion of our units. I do know that we do have very old infrastructure, which is why you see some of these large contracts. So we do everything we can within our budget to make sure that we're providing quality housing for our residents.
Right. So, right. I just wanted to just piggyback off of what Commissioner Pitchford was saying, because I think this time we're actually getting to a part that we hadn't, like you said, this has gone on for years, trying to get this part done.
All right. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, Commissioner. I'm sorry. But I was just talking about the situation of the heating thing. It seems like every year we're still dealing with, it might be different phases of it, but it's still a heating issue.
Exactly.
That we're dealing with. That's all I was trying to. But thanks for making that clear, because we need to make. I appreciate chairs making things clear.
Yes, and I appreciate you asking that question, because I'm sure that if you have the question that, residents and other people in the public are having the same question. Art, were there any other questions before we go into resolution number 4? Anyone? Okay, Art, you can go ahead to resolution number 4, please.
Our final resolution is approval to increase the contract with AKF Group LLC for architectural and engineering services. AKF is one of the architects that we use to do quite a bit of design services for us. And AKF is specialized in engineering work for different HVAC projects for us, including a couple of the projects that was on my previous report, such as the Gilpin and Hillside Management Offices HVAC jobs. At this point, we've nearly exhausted the amount of money we have on AKF's contract, and we've identified additional projects we would like to task to AKF. So we are requesting an increase of $250,000 for their contract to allow us to task them with additional jobs to help with design, specifically of HVAC projects. Our Are there any questions regarding this resolution?
Okay. All right. With that being said, I would like to go ahead and call the questions for the 4 resolutions before we move on to section E. All right. So for resolution number 1, is there a motion on the floor?
I motion it.
A
Is there a
second.
second? Thank you. And Ms. Webb, would you like to call the vote?
Absolutely. Starting with you, Commissioner Blunt,
Aye.
Commissioner Parker,
Aye.
Commissioner Pitchford.
Aye.
Vote is unanimous. Motion carries.
Thank you. That motion for resolution number 1 has been adopted. All right, for resolution number 2, is there a motion on the floor?
I put a motion on the floor.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. And Ms. Webb, would you like to call the question?
Yes. Commissioner Blunt,
Aye.
Commissioner Parker,
Aye.
and Commissioner Pitchford.
Aye.
All right. Vote is unanimous. Motion carried. Resolution 2 adopted to go forward to the board.
Thank you. And for resolution number 3, is there a motion on the floor?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'm getting a little confused now. Motion, we're talking about 3 now. Which one is 3? Is that the
That's
one
the
where we're...
contract modification. That one was the one for Gilpin for the underground pipes for the one we were just talking about. That we were saying it was taking a few years, but they
Okay.
needed extra. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. I make a motion for that we approve that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank you. Ms.
All
Webb?
right. Yes. Commissioner Blunt,
Aye.
Commissioner Parker,
Aye.
and Commissioner Pitchford.
Aye.
Vote is unanimous. Motion carried. Resolution 3 to go before the board tomorrow.
Thank you. And the last one is resolution number 4, the increase for AKF Group. I think it was $250,000, Art?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second?
I second it.
Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Blunt,
Aye.
Commissioner Parker,
Aye.
and Commissioner Pitchford.
Aye.
Vote is unanimous. Motion carried. Resolution 4 to go before the board.
Thank you very much. All right, Art. You'd like to hear your report on the MBE, WBE, and Section 3 reporting.
Okay, thank you very much. I am pleased to report that for our payments for services, we are currently ahead of our goals for MBE payments. We have a goal of 30% of our expenditures to MBE firms, and to date we're at 38.7%. For WBE payments, we have a goal of 10%, and we're currently at 14.39%. And for Section 3 contractor payments, we have a goal of 10%, and we're currently at 12.2%.
Good news. Okay.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Absolutely, Mr. Nesbitt.
Commissioner Parker, those are great numbers, wouldn't you say?
I'd say, certainly, I'm glad to see them, the materialize at this point in time, because we were struggling that for a while, but looks like we're really doing good now. We're picking up.
Yeah, those are good numbers. I just wanted to point it out because you're being chair of that of the Section 3 committee. I want to highlight that. I think those are great numbers. I do have a matter. I wanted to. It's on Section 3. Let me see if I can find it. It was, and by the way, do you normally give this report on Section 3 on the Property and Management Committee, or is it Art just on the Section 3 committee? How does it find its way on this committee?
This is the committee where we've traditionally reported this one. Remember, our Section 3 committee is fairly new. So we've traditionally reported these numbers here.
Okay. And so we have, something I wanted to, on section I want to share. So Commissioner Parker, I'll share it with you. I'll wait till tomorrow's meeting, but we have, we put out an advertisement for Section 3 jobs for Gilpin Port residents, but I'll share that tomorrow at the full board committee meeting, because I want the full board to hear it and want to know if the full board is getting this information. So I'll save it for that.
Yes. Thank you, Stephen.
Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, can I ask a question at this point too? Is of Art?
Absolutely.
Okay, Art. I wanted to go back on Resolution 2. Can you look back at that 1 second with me? And this is just one small matter I just want to ask as it relates to Section 3.
Yes.
Okay, in that presentation, you mentioned that there's a 25% goal that they're going to try to achieve in that particular package of plumbing work that they're doing.
Yes.
Have they submitted a plan to you? Is that something they've done, or are they going to submit a plan at some point in time, or is this just something they just like to see happen?
So they've made the pledge. They've actually asked that we put them in touch with our resident services team to make sure that they can find an appropriate number of workers. And once we have a concrete plan, that will become a part of the executed contract.
Okay, right. That'll be a part of the contract. So what do you see them doing with our Section 3 people? Do you see some opportunities there for this type of project?
Each one is different. You know, you start with the contractor, and they will tell us what kind of jobs they have available. We tell them what kind of folks we have available to get them the job. So it's always a situation where you work with the contractor to see what we can do collectively to meet those goals.
And certainly they like to do some training too. If they don't see somebody with those type of skills, they'd be willing to give some training to them also to bring them along.
And there are opportunities for them to do things in lieu of the labor hours. If they can't meet that we can evaluate. But we do work with them to make sure that whatever they agree to becomes part of the contract, so we can hold them to the pledges.
Thank you so much, Art. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So is that the end of your reports, Art?
Yes, it is, Commissioner.
Well, thank you so much for your due diligence. And now we're going to go into the next section, which is to announce our next committee meeting date, which is to be decided. It would normally fall on Tuesday, February 14th. I believe the reason that it is not set yet is because there may be a feeling that people may be going out to dinner that day.
Madam Chair.
I'm not sure.
No, Madam Chair, may I speak?
Please do.
The actual problem is that we need to move, we're going to move the meeting up, but also, I guess it could be considered that. But the 13th would have been the date we actually would have landed on, but that is already a standing committee's meeting date, and they meet at 5:30. So we could not move to that date. So, unless there's, some objections to being on the 14th, we could knock it out.
I'm out to dinner.
So you want to make it a administration and finance committee dinner? That's not very romantic. but
I'm out to dinner. I can't do that day. My husband just let me know.
Okay. Well, Reverend Pitchford has spoken. I think that was probably the reason why this was an issue as well. So, I know that the following Wednesday I have another committee meeting for another organization. So
we can't go backwards. It needs to come before the 15th,
right?
Because that's when the board meeting meets. So we can't do that. It was suggested maybe Friday, the 10th of February. But here again, we meet at 6 o'clock. Is that a doable time?
Okay for me.
It's okay for me.
Madam Chair, could we meet at 5:30?
It's okay for me. How about everyone else?
Okay for me. As long as it's not 4:30.
Right. So 5:30 for all the committee members. Is that agreeable, and the staff? And just so that you know, all meetings will continue to be virtual until further notice. So we can try and make it short. So we can meet at 5:30, and maybe can we agree to have all of our paperwork sent to everyone, and try to have everything really brief and be done by 6 o'clock? Is that being too ambitious?
I think so. Maybe 6:30. Give a little, because somebody might have some questions. Because we don't know what's going to come between now and February. But I don't think it should go past 6:30.
Do I hear any suggestions? Because Commissioner Pitchford has already spoken, so it looks like we're going to be moving that way if no one else has anything to say about it. I make the motion that it's 5:30 to 6:30 on Friday, February 10th.
I second that. 2 times.
Okay. Do we need to make a vote? Commissioner Parker, do we need to vote on this?
I'm fine. Thank you so much. I agree 100%. Thank you so much. Thank you so
All
much,
right.
Madam Chair.
Okay, so then that's what it is, and it is virtual. So I thank you all for making this compromise for the 10th. This way you can have the 14th, and we'll just try to make it brief, 5:30 to 6:30. I think we did pretty good tonight. It's 7:01. So unless there are any objections or questions, I would like to adjourn this meeting. Are there any
Thank you,
objections?
Madam Chair. Good night. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
This conference is no longer